welcome to the Chrissy B Show. And I'd first like to introduce my very special news reporter, Excel. She wasn't expecting me to introduce her so quickly. How are you, my love?
You've taken me by surprise,
I know.
Chrissy. Oh gosh.
She was just taking photos. I was just trying to get her while she was taking the photo, but I didn't manage it. You okay?
I'm too quick for you, my dear. Yes, I'm well, thank you.
Good. So we do have our lovely Gregoire sisters on today as well, and they'll be showing us how to get beautiful, dramatic eyes inspired by the 60s. That will be Maegan Gregoire doing that, and Cynthia will also be giving us her styling tips on how to get the 60s look. We also have Ben Cooper, who'll be showing us a nutritious recipe for cashew banana slice with apple and coconut. Yum, that sounds nice, doesn't it? And Jane Wrafter will be giving us her tips for a new start for new runners. And I'll be giving you my happy tips on 6 ways to a happy family. But let's go straight to the news, often quirky news with Excel.
Hello, Chrissy.
We did that already.
I have to make sure that I always aim to please and deliver the news as is expected of me. And I have attempted to do that today.
Okay, go on.
I have a scandal of the week.
Oh, good.
But this one's slightly more hilarious because there's a bit of a you shouldn't have done that end to it. A man was alleged to have grabbed a restaurant worker's boobie at a drive-through restaurant, and he admitted to it because he said he was a ladies' man. His name is Michael.
He justified it.
Well, yeah, he said the what's her name? The name of the worker is what's her name? Oh, stop it. Oh, I don't think we gave her name actually. The name of the victim was not named, but she said she couldn't resist him. And so
he couldn't resist her.
No, as in she couldn't resist him. You heard right the first time. It wasn't a slip of tongue. She could not resist him was why he grabbed her boobie.
Oh.
That's what he reasoned to himself.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, of course, she was so, loved up with him that she actually called the police on him. And he spent the night in bars.
Good.
He was charged with disorderly conduct because he was drunk. And disorderly conduct, indecent assault, public drunkenness, and other related offences. He was saying, yeah, I'm a ladies' man and that girl over there wants me.
Oh dear.
Yeah, she wanted him so much.
Do you have his picture?
Well, yes. That's the ladies' man. I think this is one of those pictures that you say, only a mother would love him. But anyway, moving on swiftly, very swiftly.
I can hear him laughing in the control.
Something slightly hilarious now. Brad Pitt was turned away from jury duty. You want to know why? The judge felt he would be too much of a distraction.
Of course he would.
Apparently, he went to the Los Angeles Criminal Court and he wanted to be interviewed for jury service, but he was dismissed after several hours of waiting because the court decided he wouldn't be needed. According to the local news, Pitt believed that the experience would be interesting, but the court was like, nah. Brad was also hoping that he would be put on a short case, but you can't really tell how long cases
have you ever done jury service?
No, I've never been called.
I have.
Never been called, I have to say. And I think it kind of depends, because I remember a colleague of mine, he was called, I think, 3 times or so in the space of 18 months. I was thinking, well, you must be doing something right, keep calling you back. I've
been called twice. I've done it once, but the second time I said I couldn't do it because of work reasons at the time.
Yeah, I think if you give a good reason, but I think you're expected to.
Yeah,
but I've never been called.
Yes, very interesting. Obviously, I can't speak about the cases, but I was quite surprised at something that happened there. Let's just put it that way.
I think it's quite interesting. But I don't know if it's an American thing though, isn't it? Did we ever really have juries in the UK?
I don't know about history over here. Sorry.
I know, because I've always thought about it. I thought this was an American thing, but anyway, I digress. So Brad Pitt would have been too much of a distraction, and so he did not get picked. There is a young man who did something very silly round about Christmas. He went partying and then he fell asleep, and he melted his arm against the radiator. Cue photo, please.
Oh, you're joking. Oh, no.
Yeah, he burnt his arm.
How did he not wake up? Was he drunk?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
And of course, we can only identify him by his arm. He chose to remain anonymous. I wonder why. He apparently it was off at the time he went to bed, but by the time he woke up, it had turned on during the night.
Oh, no.
21-year-old had to peel himself off, he said.
How painful.
Not good, is it? Well, he said, what am I going to do? When he woke up, he said, my arm's stuck on a radiator. What am I going to do? He said, I just had to peel myself off, and it really hurt. We bet it did.
Dear.
Indeed. A young lady has spent 24 hours to raise money for a homeless man who attempted to give her his £3 for her to catch a taxi home.
Yes.
It was absolutely lovely. She's a young model. Her name is Dominique Harrison Benson. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And she wanted to pay for a taxi home when she discovered that she had lost her card when she attempted to get her money out. So the homeless guy was there around the time when she wanted to do this and offered to give her the £3 he had for her taxi. So she did not take it, but from there she decided to go on a online giving page to raise funds, and just said everybody could just give £3, the same amount he wanted to give her. Just raise £3, let's get him a flat and a place to stay. So he ended up, she has managed to, at the time of this report I got, at this time, she had raised over £25,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they wanted to get him a place of his own, and they identified the man as Robbie. So it was a case of, get Robbie a place, get Robbie a place to live, a place to stay. And, everyone's been obviously giving, some have given more than £3, and it's been very good. And this was around Christmas time as well. So I think by now everything should have been settled in quite nicely, which is lovely.
Oh.
Yes. Apparently, the fountain of youth has been discovered. Donkey milk. Cleopatra used to bathe in it in those days, we hear, and I think...
We've got Cleopatra in the studio
today.
Indeed,
that's what I was just about to say. I think Cleopatra we have later on in the show. We'll have something
to...
Indeed, we have to get some milk for her to try. It's apparently the cure for all ailments, and it's also an anti-aging skin tonic. It apparently... Where is it now? Yeah, it was considered by the ancient Greek as medicinal. They swore by it for a cure for liver problems, for fevers, for poisonings, joint pains, and even nosebleeds. And also constipation was added to the list by Romans. So it's the UN Food and Agriculture Association, the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization acknowledges that donkey milk has particular nutritional benefits, and it may make it more suitable for those who are allergic to cow's milk.
I wonder if it's better than goat's milk, because I drink goat's milk.
It might be along the same lines as well. Probably not
quite
quite as heavy.
Good, according to our nutritionist that comes on, Ronald.
Yeah, indeed. And apparently it's the closest to human breast milk because it has a high lactose ratio and low fat content. So, and it's also rich in vitamins and antibacterial agents, and it's reported to be 200 times more active than in cow's milk. The anti-allergen makeup of the donkey's milk is believed to be responsible for alleviating psoriasis, eczema, asthma, and bronchitis.
Right. Got to try some.
There you go. And there's a bar of it as well.
Pop to Tesco's afterwards?
Well, I don't know if it comes on Tesco's. But a single bar of donkey milk soap will set you back by £8.
Bar of soap? Well, if it has all those properties.
Really? Well, all right. We'll go shopping together then, Chrissy.
Go on, we've got time for one more, I think.
Okay. You love your cat, don't you? Yes. How devoted are you to Tina B? Would you do anything for her?
Not anything, no.
Within reason, to save her life?
Oh, yeah. I won't risk my own.
Okay. Well,
or maybe I would actually, because she's so cute.
A devoted pet owner has splashed out £300. Don't I know what his pet was? He had to save the life of his constipated goldfish. Yeah. He took his 3-inch pet to the vet to ease its discomfort after noticing that he was struggling to poo-poo.
Oh.
He hoped that after the simple procedure, the fish would be back happily swimming in his office tank, but he was in for a shock when the vet center told him that the delicate surgery would cost £300.
Oh,
so he initially turned the treatment down and left the fish to its fate, but then he changed his mind 10 minutes later and went back and gave the go-ahead. So There was actually a demonstration where the fish was administered anesthetic, and it was so when it went to sleep, then they gently, used tiny instruments, and they removed the lump that was close to the rear end, and then after removing the lump, the fish swam away quite happily. And I think all is well, because apparently if the fish couldn't poo, it would have eventually become like constipated and toxic, and it would have eventually died. So yeah.
I had a goldfish that exploded.
Really? Literally? Wow.
It was like really round. I don't know what happened. I think
it must have been constipated.
I don't, but it's like even its scales kind of separated, and it was just like a little golf ball.
It must have been. Yeah, I think that's what they say it probably would do, because it would just block and it can't do anything. Yeah, so you should have spent £300 and unblocked your goldfish.
Anyway, but you're going to stay with us because we're going to have more afterwards, a bit later on. Right? Okay, well do stay tuned, because after the break, we'll have my happy tips on how to have a happy family and lots more.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the show. Now, before I cover my happy tips on how to have a happy family, let's take a look at this healthy recipe with Ben Cooper.
Hi, and welcome to MTS Kitchen. My name is Ben Cooper, and today again we're going to bring you a very, very simple recipe taken from Nancy Dale's cookbook. So today, again, we've got very, very simple ingredients. We've got cashew nuts, about 100 grams of cashew nuts. We've got 2 bananas. We've got some coconut oil. We've got a mixture of coconut, desiccated coconut and oats. And then we've got an apple and a little bit of vanilla extract. We're going to put in the wet ingredients into the blender. And this is going to be the carbohydrates going in with the fat, which we're going to actually heat first and melt down a little bit just to give the consistency. Into the slice. And then that's going to go in with our banana, and we're going to blend that up and then keep that to the side. Okay, so in with the wet ingredients, I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon. Now the cinnamon's in there for regulation of blood sugar. It's great for blood sugars. Along with that is 2 pods of cardamom. So I've de-seeded the pods, and they're related to ginger, which is also great for your digestion. So they're kind of in there, the medicinal side of things. So that's going to go in. Now our coconut is ready. So that has gone down into a liquid, you can see, which is going to give the nice wet consistency. That goes in with the banana. It's going to give a little bit of a fizz because it's hot. Then to that, I'm just going to add a small amount of vanilla essence just to give a bit of flavour, really. It's not in there for any other reason, just for flavour. Okay, and then all the wet ingredients is going to go to the side, ready to be mixed in with the dry ingredients, which we're going to combine in a second. And in goes 100 grams of organic cashew nuts, and we're going to add 100 grams of desiccated coconut. And then this again is optional. You don't have to add the oats, but I'm adding oats. You can add quinoa flakes, or you can just leave it out altogether and just use the desiccated coconut. Okay, so the dry ingredients are now combined. You're looking for a kind of a little bit like sawdust, but that's what you want. A nice dry consistency, because then when you mix it with the wet ingredients, it's going to form a really nice, almost like a kind of a bread mixture. The last element, a nice organic apple, and I'm just going to grate that. Okay, so this is going to give more texture to it. Just blend that in. And you can see the apple's really added a little bit of colour to it as well. So what I'm using is a cake tin, because this is going to be like a slice, so we just pop that straight in. And I'm going to pop that in the oven now, again 170 to 180 centigrade for about 25 to 30 minutes. It takes a little bit of time to cook, but it'll be worth it. And we'll see how it's looking. Perfect. And you can see what I was talking about with the kind of bread consistency. So I'm just going to cut myself a little slice and try it. It's amazing. It's exactly like banana bread. So the kids will eat it, grown-ups will eat it. Great for a snack or for a pudding. So cashew banana slice with apple and coconut. Done.
That looked yum, and I'm definitely going to try that recipe. Okay, so now it's time to whiz through my happy tips on how to have a happy family. So number one, respect every member of the family. Now, everyone is different. Sometimes you think, oh, because you have the same blood and everything like that, everyone thinks the same and you should all be the same. But don't forget, everyone is an individual. They have different likes, they have different dislikes. So you have to respect each member of the family as individuals and allow them to express themselves as well. Number two, always discuss decisions as a family. So even like sometimes I think parents tend to kind of disregard the little ones. So, you know, even decisions like sort of moving somewhere else and stuff, you can still have that family moment where you sit down together and you really find out what everyone feels about a situation. Don't just kind of disregard the children and think, oh, you know, their opinion doesn't matter. At least listen to what everyone has to say. And then obviously someone has to be the authority figure in the house to make the final decision. But at least you've had everyone's decision. Everyone feels respected. Number three, make sure you have some family time. Now, many families are very busy, parents, you know, working, maybe the kids studying, but it's really, really important that you do take some time out and have some fun as a family. Don't forget to do these things. You know, sometimes social media is taken over and everyone's on their laptops, their iPads, doing all sorts of things. And there's no time where you kind of go out together, for example, to a restaurant or you do something together. Now, you might be falling into thinking, well, we're together all the time, but then one's, you know, all in the same room perhaps, but then one's sitting on the sofa watching TV, the other one's on the laptop. You're not communicating, so make sure you have some time where you're listening to one another, you're talking, you're having some fun together. Number four, there should be a close relationship between the husband and wife or the partners in the household. So if, for example, there are issues between parents, the kids will definitely pick up on that. And if the two of you get on, if you're parents and you get along, that actually creates stability in the home. Kids feel more stable, they feel safe in the home environment, that things are okay. So make sure if you do have any relationship problems that you do get help for that. Don't just think, oh, you know, we don't have time, we've got the kids. The kids will be very happy if you actually sorted any issues out because they will feel safer and more comfortable. Number five, you should also all know your responsibilities in the household. So, you know, who's for example, going to look after the financial issues, who's going to be helping with the housework. Ideally, everyone should pitch in. So make sure everyone understands clearly what is expected of them. And so there's no sort of arguments in those areas. And number six, which I think is a really, really important one, cheer each other on. So in a family, I really don't understand, for example, siblings that compete against one another, or even partners, husband and wife, for example, that they're always trying to be better than the other one. You're supposed to be a team. You're supposed to be together. And for example, with my sister, I am very happy when she's doing well. And, you know, and if, for example, I know, especially with some girls and some sisters that I've seen, it's like if one happens to kind of be wearing a better dress than the other, there's like war breaks out. So if I see my sister looking great, I'm happy. I want to show her off because she's my sister. I love her. So make sure you kind of cultivate that kind of relationship in your home. You shouldn't be jealous of one another. You shouldn't be competing. You should be cheering each other on. And that alone is going to create a nice environment in your home. Okay, so if you guys are having any issues at home that you would like to email me about, those are just a few tips, but obviously there is other advice that can be given. If you have a specific situation that's going on in your home and you'd like to talk to me about it, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv. Well, do stay tuned, because after the break, we're going to have Cynthia's styling and also Maegan's makeup, all on the 60s.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the show. So now we have the lovely Gregoire sisters, and we're going to be talking all about the 60s makeup and fashion. Well, we're going to start with Maegan. How are you girls?
Very well.
You good?
Chrissy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So the 1960s and makeup, I wish I was there. It's all about the eyes. So I took some ads to just give you an idea about how the ads makeup looked in the 1960s. So you see Moody Talk, Dolly Talk, and it's all about expressing your eyes in different ways. So I brought a few different lashes as well. So you can see if you want sultry, you would go to the thicker. If you want au naturel, you could go to the more spaced out lashes and really express your eyes through your moods. And in the 60s, it was all from the natural hippie look to, you know, the very dramatic black and white look with all the geometric shapes of the dresses. That was just that black and white. And there was, a lot of influences. So we have the youth being a big influence. So we have the baby boomers and we have hippie culture. And we also had a few 60s stars that were quite iconic for 60s look. So I'm just going to, and we actually did get inspired by some of the stars that we will be seeing. So here you have Eddie Sedgwick, and you also have Brigitte Bardot. So you can see that, she's got that dark crease Eddie, and Brigitte Bardot, she's got that beehive going on too, which is really a 60s styling piece for hair and makeup. So you could go with that.
That was what you've done on both of us, right? So that's
So basically, we've done Eddie Sedgwick on Chrissy. If we want to go to a close-up of Chrissy, we've got, pastels were really something that took over the masses, really. So the pastels, were quite in. So we got a nice light pastels, and you really want to, go over, that really dramatic black and white, because you wanted the eyes just to pop. So here we have Cynthia's look, which is another 60 star, Sophia Loren. And Elizabeth Taylor was quite big as well. So if we look at Sophia Loren, she's got almost an extended winged cat eye. And I wanted to be very clear as we go to Cynthia that this actually isn't something that's a smoky eye, because you might see, very dark there. It's not blended like the modern smoky eye with a transitional color. It's black and it's white. And when you're using products to get that dramatic change and that precision, you might want to use a cream-based pencil just to get your base on and get that shape going. And I've got Caviar Sticks by Laura Mercier. There's, L'Oreal Scandal. There's a Shu Uemura eye crayon. So they're different, basically crayons, so that you don't have all that powder, and you can still do that, dramatic in between. And obviously you're going to have, especially with one of the stars that I don't know if you could really tell which one of us has the Cleopatra vibe going on, but in case you didn't know, it's myself. And you can see that she's got these really expressive, this movie 1963 came out, but the makeup companies, we're doing the Cleopatra look way before. So I've got the Cleopatra look going on. How I achieve that, with all of our looks, we do have some gel liner. And, we're not going to be the most precise, but we want that precise look, even with the ends there, with, again, this is your savior, the skinny cotton swab. In Canada, we would call them a Q-tip. Here, we would say cotton swab.
Don't put those in your ears.
Don't put them in your ears, they might hurt. But you do lubricate them with some makeup remover and just, you know, really go in there and get that straight edge, and also, you know, those flinged wings. So, you know, I built this up with this crayon. It wasn't going all over. To be honest, when you're doing heavier eyes, you want to do foundation last anyways. But of course, if I were to do foundation first, it wouldn't have went all over the place, falling and, you know, taking away from the look, because I did use a crayon. So yeah. So obviously with all the geometric shapes and everything, you know, the black and the white, it really worked.
That's great. Thank you, my love.
Cool.
We're going to go over
Cassie.
to the styling section now, so let's just walk over there with Cynthia.
All right, so on to the inspiration with the clothing for the 1960s. So one of my favorite decades, for sure it is. And we're just gonna start actually with Chrissy in Swinging London, and we'll show you the different styles that we have going on today. Some of them modernized and some of them right back to the 60s. So we'll start with the first slide here, and this one is just the Mondrian art of Italian painter. And then we have the next slide here where Yves Saint Laurent drew his inspiration for the famous Mondrian style dress, the shift dress. And we have Chrissy today wearing a very, very close replica to that dress. This one's done by Tracy Ellen. She's got fabulous go-go boots, actually from the 1960s. And you can see that Mondrian print, the lines in monochrome. It's absolutely timeless. So Chrissy, how do you like your look for today?
I really like it. Nice.
Back to
I like
the
black and white
60s.
blocks and stuff.
So this would be like sort of a modernized version of the 1960s, which is what you want to do when, you know, a trend goes back in time. You want to make it sort of your own. Next we have, for my slides, you can see this was taken out of a catalog from the I believe it was 64, and you can see just that nipped in waist look to those dresses and a longer skirt, and that's what I've put myself in today. So we have myself in these white go-go boots, again I got these in Japan from the 1960s. So we got the white go-go boots, right? And then we have this nipped in sort of pink dress that's actually from the 60s. And you can see here that the belt is actually missing. It is an actual vintage piece. So very simplistic, the 60s were very simple with the colors and the shapes, but I've modernized it by putting, you know, some jewelry that's quite modern. We've got a scooter bracelet and also, you know, the mod symbol bracelet on the Tiffany, charm on the Tiffany's bracelet. So you can kind of make it your own and modernize it in that way. Moving along with the rest of my slides here, we have this one is Twiggy, and again, like the makeup like Maegan was talking about, Twiggy's just one of those iconic images from the 1960s, and you can sort of see the simplistic makeup, you know, the nude look there on the lips that Maegan has done on myself. And the next slide shows basically my hairdo for today. I tried to make it look like the Ronettes. This is a 1960s musical group, and you can see the beehive going on there with a dark fringe. Last but not least, we have the men's style, right? So we have the geometric prints. This is the small faces band in the 1960s as well. So I'm just going to talk about Maegan, what I have Maegan in, and that is to go with her Cleopatra look. I took one of my 1960s actual vintage pieces that I found actually in Saskatchewan, and I've put her in that. So we have, again, go-go boots from the 1960s, a very big essential to making your look like the 1960s. And I've got this purple dress with this lovely cord detail and these brass sort of eyelet loops. Just very, very vintage, and it really goes with her Cleopatra look. Just to finish off the segment, I was just going to show you a few of my favorite items that I've collected over the years, just to give you some inspiration for that 1960s look that's trending. So we have this shift dress again. You can see the simple shape of this dress. Looks quite, it's more of a summer dress, and we've got the block geometric shapes there in those wild colors and that polyester. We have two dresses here. Again, you can see that the 60s were all about colors, prints, styles, just crazy geometric shapes, isn't it? So we've got that. Then you could also go for something quite simplistic. You could go for just a basic shift dress with pockets in a turquoise. This would look great with the black boots or
Well, these are kind of colours that they had sort of?
I
back
think
then
so,
as
yeah.
well?
Very, very bright,
vibrant
very
stuff.
bright. And then they kept the makeup very like black and white or very, you know, geometric and just simple. What we are seeing though in spring, summer 15 is we are seeing some remade versions of the 60s. So you can see this awesome shift jacket done in a, I guess that's like a light green, isn't it? And you can tell it's got the nice like the scoop neck. We've got the buttons. It's very simplistic in shape. It's got the 2 pockets. This would be Essentials version of the 60s jacket. Or you could go for something a little more vintage, and a piece like this is quite colorful. Megan, if I'll just get you to demonstrate that one.
It's lovely, that jacket.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
I love that one. So that one there is very, you know, geometric, of course, on the outside. We've got the black grid lines there. Definitely can't miss that from the 60s. This one here, we also have, I'll just show you this one on. You can see the detail that they've put on the inside of that.
Lovely.
So, you know.
Makes you want it to be a windy day so it can show.
Definitely. So, yeah, that's it for today.
Cool.
So.
What's your favourite look, Cynthia, from the 60s?
Mine is basically I really like the Brigitte Bardot look. I really like that simplistic makeup, and then I really like, I think you can't have too high of a beehive, in my opinion, so that's sort of my look.
Okay, how about yours? Very good.
I'd have to say Cynthia does it look very well, but I would like obviously the more bolder, expressive look. So maybe, you know, you or I, Cleopatra, I'm vibing her. So I would have to say that as well. I do enjoy like the dress with like the collar, you know, like the one that you had here. These type dresses.
The bold geometric
I like
prints.
those, yeah.
Can we get a close-up just of all the boots? Can we just like
okay.
show all the boots together? Yeah.
These are actually vintage boots.
They are. Every pair is from the 1960s, so they're are they comfortable, Chrissy?
They are. Yeah.
I have to say my eyes,
We squeeze into them. Yep.
mine aren't so comfortable, but.
Alrighty, girls. Thank you so much for the great advice as usual. Thank you. We'll see you again next time on the show. But do stay tuned, because after the break we'll be back with Excel and also a fitness tip from Jane Wrafter.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the show. So we're going to go across to Excel in just a moment with some more quirky news. But first of all, let's take a look at this fitness tip with Jane Wrafter with advice for first-time runners.
Hello everybody, it's Jane here with your fitness tips. It's January, as you all know, and it's our time to maybe think about our fitness routine and regime. So I want to talk to those of you that are perhaps considering taking up running for the first time. So there's a few things that you really need to think about. I'm going to give you some advice on several things, but the first thing I want to say is when you do go running, you do need to warm up. So you need to make sure that you do active warm-up exercises, and I've done other clips on that in the past, but don't go out running cold because you can pull a muscle, okay? So warm up and stretch for say 5 to 10 minutes. And get yourself some really good running shoes, that's really important. Get yourself some good clothes. You want clothes that are sweat wicking, okay? So those types of clothes, they keep you cool in the summer, and if you sweat, it dries out quickly so that you haven't got a heavy cotton t-shirt that once you sweat stays wet so that you get really cold. And perhaps try and choose some clothing with a reflector if you're running outside. So you can get clothes with the stripes that the car headlights pick up. They're really good for safety. Another good tip is to get a running app on your phone so that you can track with your running app your progress, your speed. It tells you your speed, it tells you your route. And there's lots of free apps so you can see whether you're improving, getting faster. Ladies, you need to get a good, well-fitting, well-supporting bra, because if you don't, then you can stretch the ligaments that sit behind the breast, and nobody wants that. So get yourself a good bra Get yourself a running buddy. It's always good to have a commitment with someone. If you've got a commitment, I'll see you there at 7, then you're more likely to be there if you know your mate's waiting for you. It's a good tip, but if not, go on your own and stick to your own resolution. So maybe intersperse a bit of power walking at first. You don't have to step out of your door and run for 30 minutes. When you first start off, power walk for a few minutes, maybe put 30 seconds of running in and then power walk for a couple of minutes, another 30 seconds. Build up the amount of time and the amount of length that you run for. Running is really good for fitness and fat burning. So if you're thinking about it, go out there and give it a go, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Jane. Are you much of a runner, Excel? Do you run?
No, I'm more of a walker. I don't like running. I can sprint, but not the whole 10 kilometers. I see some people just going for miles and miles. I can just do a quick dash, but that's it.
I have tried, but I think I struggle because I get stitched really easily. But I think it's a problem with my sinuses or something because I can't breathe properly sometimes.
Oh gosh.
Which I will get checked out. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
More news?
Indeed, I have plenty. I thought I'd say something, although it kind of seems a bit horrible, but I promise you will see the funny side of this. A young man at the age of 12 wanted to was given a role to play Joseph in the school nativity play, and unfortunately he went home and told his parents that he had been given the role of Joseph Stalin, the dictator. And so they got him a uniform and a mustache to go with it to make him look like the Soviet dictator. And if we cue photo, we will see how charming he actually looked. But unfortunately, when this happened in Russia, by the way, this wasn't in the UK, this is in St. Petersburg in Russia. And so on the day of the play, don't they do dress rehearsals over there? On the actual day when he turned up looking like Joseph Stalin, was when they realized it was a bit too late. Unfortunately, they didn't have any replacement outfits, so he had to play Joseph the carpenter, dressed as Joseph Stalin. Well,
oh dear.
Yeah, apparently during the performance, other parents were actually laughing. And his dad was there saying, we really felt sorry for him, but everybody was howling and yowling and crying in hysterics from under their chairs, and my son was lost because of the part he was playing. He was mixed up, but they kind of felt guilty for having
Oh, poor thing.
the poor boy. But yeah,
I'm sure they could have found something else for him.
Well,
surely, even a shirt or something.
I know, but they just let him go in there like that. Seriously. Well, anyway, a man has I think he's going to make it into the Guinness Book of Records for this because he drove 2 hours on a trip, made a 2-hour trip to hospital with a knife in his head. Right. Huasela Nunes, I hope I've said his name right, drove his motorcycle to the nearest hospital with a 30-centimeter long blade, that's about 12 inches, with a blade embedded in his skull after he was stabbed at a party.
Oh my God.
He drove 60 miles to a hospital in Teresina in Brazil, and he managed to stay awake for that time. We have a photo of his x-ray. If we just take a look. That's the x-ray there. I mean, the pen in the corner, I suppose that's a doctor looking at but you can see the knife to the right of the picture, top right hand of the picture. So he had the knife sticking out of his head right behind his eye. And he says he couldn't remember being stabbed. And we have a photo of him as well in bed. That's him there. And police believe that a group pounced on him, but he cannot actually remember what happened. But at least I thought I'd just highlight this because at least he was conscious even though he was in pain, and he didn't once lose, he just can't remember when the attack was, but he hasn't destroyed anything or anything like that. So I thought I'd just highlight that
wow, it's a miracle he wasn't.
That's exactly what his wife said. His wife called his survival a miracle, and the doctors say he's currently recovering and he's in a surprisingly good condition. So he's done very well there. Well, I suppose keeping it to body parts, another man, about 51 years ago, a young man, well, not so young now, a man named Arthur Lampitt from Illinois, he smashed his Thunderbird into a truck. And that week, everything was checked and everything, you know, eventually he was sent home. I think he broke his arm or he broke his hip or something. He got sent home, you know, as you do. And apparently a decade or so ago, he set off a metal detector at a courthouse because they found there was actually a bit of metal in his body and no one had realized. So he literally set off that a decade ago. So this is like 40 or so years later. So now I think he works at a building construction site and he was moving concrete blocks and his arm began to hurt for the first time. So now he then decided to have surgery. If we cue the photo of the part, it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand how that wasn't even seen the first time round.
It's not small, is it?
It's not a small piece. It's actually 7 inches long.
Wow.
And it was stuck in his arm, and he was, you know, he was basically, he couldn't, apparently he had some pain, but he just thought probably, you know, it was an aftermath of the accident. But this is him here with his devoted wife beside him. And apparently while that piece was in his body, there was like a protective pocket that sort of grew around it and sort of formed his own little capsule around it. So it's quite, what do you call it?
Isn't the human body amazing?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And he just sat there fine. And I suppose maybe he was now reaching a point where he's doing something and he's sort of agitated. It was why he not found this out. Because I think I know someone, for example, who has a bullet in his heart. Because it's in a very...
You know someone?
Yeah. He's actually got a bullet in his heart where if that bullet was removed, it would actually end his life because the bullet is in a strategic place where it's not killing him, but it's not hurting him. It's not doing anything, so just left it there.
He'll be setting off the alarms then.
Well, they're going to be setting off the alarms, but you know, at least you know he's safe indeed. So if it doesn't hurt, leave it.
All right, so we need to wrap up the show now, my love.
Oh no, okay, I'll save some more for
Thank you so much for the lovely news.
You're welcome.
Some of it a bit strange, not very happy, but anyway.
As usual.
Yes. And we'll see you again next time on the show.
Certainly.
Alrighty, so we have reached the end of the program. If you guys want any information about the show, if you're a new viewer and you'd like to know more about us, you can visit the website chrissybshow.tv. And if you're going through any issues at all that you'd like to speak to me about, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv. Bye-bye, until next time.